They raised us, sacrificed for us, stayed up nights worrying about our futures. And yet, in their twilight years, countless parents across America find themselves alone, waiting for phone calls that rarely come, visits that become increasingly infrequent. Today on Stoic Directory, we're exploring what might be one of the most painful human experiences, feeling abandoned by your own children as you age. What happens when the house that once echoed with the laughter of children falls silent? When family dinners become solo meals? When holidays approach with empty chairs at the table? And most importantly, how can ancient Stoic wisdom help both the elderly navigate this painful reality and perhaps help us all strengthen these essential family bonds before they fray beyond repair? I'm going to warn you now, this isn't an easy conversation, but it might be one of the most important ones we'll have on this channel. And if you stay with me, I promise you'll gain insights that could transform your family relationships, whether you're a child with aging parents or a parent worried about your future. According to recent studies, over 40% of seniors report feeling regularly lonely, with those who live alone or have infrequent contact with children reporting the highest rates of isolation. These aren't just statistics. They represent millions of Americans sitting by phones that don't ring, marking birthdays without celebration, and facing health challenges without support systems. What many don't realize is that social isolation isn't just emotionally painful, it's physically dangerous. Loneliness in seniors has been linked to increased risk of heart disease, dementia, depression, and even premature death. It's as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's what makes this particularly painful. Unlike other forms of loneliness, parental abandonment carries the sting of perceived betrayal from those they sacrificed the most for. It's not just about being alone, it's about feeling forgotten by the very people they helped shape. Throughout most of human history, aging was a communal experience. Extended families lived together or nearby, and elders held positions of respect and authority. Their wisdom was valued, their experience treasured. The idea of elderly parents living isolated from their children would have seemed not just sad, but fundamentally wrong. The shift began with industrialization, accelerated after World War II, and has reached new extremes in our digital age. Geographic mobility separated families, career demands made regular visits difficult, and gradually what was once unthinkable became normalized. Elderly parents living separate lives from their adult children, sometimes with only occasional contact. We've created a society that simultaneously venerates youth and compartmentalizes aging. We've built entire communities for seniors that, while comfortable, effectively segregate generations. And while technology theoretically keeps us connected, many elderly parents find themselves on the wrong side of the digital divide. How might the ancient Stoics view this modern problem? While they couldn't have anticipated our specific social structures, their wisdom offers profound guidance for both aging parents and their adult children. For the Stoics, virtue was the highest good, and central to virtue was the concept of natural duties or appropriate actions. Family obligations ranked among our most fundamental responsibilities. Hierocles, a Stoic philosopher, described our relationships as concentric circles, with self at the center and family in the nearest rings. Our duty, he argued, was to draw those outer circles inward, treating those closest to us with special care. Seneca wrote extensively about gratitude as a cornerstone of human relationships. In his view, ingratitude was among the worst vices, a failure to acknowledge what others have given us. Applied to our topic, few debts of gratitude could be greater than what we owe those who raised us. Yet Stoicism also offers powerful wisdom for elderly parents feeling abandoned. The Stoics distinguished between what's in our control and what isn't. We cannot control others' actions, even our children's. We can invite connection, express our needs, and create opportunities for relationship. But ultimately, how others respond is not within our power. Before we continue exploring this profound topic, I want to take a moment to connect with you directly. At Stoic Directory, we're building a community of thoughtful people who believe ancient wisdom can help us navigate modern challenges. If you're finding value in this conversation, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that like button. Your engagement helps these important discussions reach more people who might be struggling with these very issues. And if this topic resonates with you personally, whether you're an elderly parent feeling disconnected or an adult child trying to balance competing responsibilities, I'd be grateful if you'd share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Now let's continue our exploration of why this disconnection happens and what both generations can do about it. The reasons for parental abandonment are rarely simple or malicious. Research reveals several common patterns. 1. Geographic distance. Over 40% of Americans live more than a 2-hour drive from their parents, making frequent visits logistically challenging. 2. The sandwich generation squeeze. Many adults find themselves simultaneously raising children and caring for aging parents, creating impossible time pressures. 3. Unresolved relationship tensions. Historical conflicts or dysfunctional dynamics can create emotional barriers that seem insurmountable. 4. Different expectations. Parents and children often have dramatically different expectations about contact frequency and support. 5. Technology divides. While technology could bridge gaps, digital literacy disparities often widen them instead. What I see most often in my practice isn't children who don't care. It's children who are overwhelmed. They're drowning in responsibilities, often working longer hours than their parents did, with less community support for childcare. They carry tremendous guilt about not doing enough, which paradoxically can make them avoid contact because it triggers those feelings of inadequacy. My daughter calls maybe once a month. I don't want to burden her. She has her own family now, but I spend most holidays alone. Sometimes I wonder if I did something wrong in raising her. Did I love her too much? Not enough? These thoughts keep me up at night. After my wife died, I thought my son would check in more often. It's been 3 years. Sometimes weeks go by without a call. I have a photo album of his childhood. All these memories of teaching him to ride a bike, coaching his baseball team. I wonder if he remembers any of it. These stories aren't unusual. They represent countless quiet sufferings happening behind closed doors across America. But there's another side to this story. I love my dad, but our relationship has always been complicated. He was very critical when I was growing up. Now I feel guilty every time I call because it's never enough. I'm trying to raise my own kids differently, but that takes emotional energy too. Between my job, my teenagers, and my mom's increasing needs, I feel constantly torn. When I'm with my kids, I worry about mom. When I visit mom, I feel I'm neglecting my family. There's no winning. So what would the Stoics advise in our modern context? Their wisdom offers guidance for both generations. For elderly parents feeling abandoned, Stoicism teaches, focus on what you can control. You cannot control your children's actions, but you can control your response to them. Cultivate internal resources. Develop friendships, community connections, and meaningful activities that don't depend on your children. Practice negative visualization. The Stoics would recommend contemplating an even more difficult situation to appreciate what you do have. Communicate without manipulation. Express your needs clearly but without emotional coercion. Instead of saying, "You never visit me," which invites defensiveness, try "I've been feeling lonely lately. I'd love to see you when you can make time." For adult children, Stoicism offers these insights. Recognize natural duties. The Stoics would view caring for parents as a fundamental obligation, part of living virtuously. Set sustainable expectations. Rather than making promises you can't keep, establish realistic rhythms of connection. Quality over quantity. When you do connect, be fully present rather than distracted. Involve the next generation. Create opportunities for your children to know their grandparents, building intergenerational bonds. Despite the challenges, many families find ways to bridge these divides. Research shows several effective approaches: scheduled regularity, technology adaptations involving third parties, and addressing underlying issues. What's most important is breaking the cycle of avoidance. Both generations often retreat when feeling hurt or overwhelmed. Small, consistent steps toward connection are more sustainable than grand gestures that can't be maintained. While individual families must navigate their own relationships, broader societal changes could support better intergenerational connection. Family leave policies. Countries with more generous family leave see higher rates of elder care. Intergenerational housing. Co-housing models that integrate seniors with younger families show promising results. Community programs, initiatives that bring generations together around shared interests, create natural connection points. Technological innovation, developing more intuitive technology specifically designed for seniors, could bridge digital divides. The pain of parental abandonment, whether actual or perceived, represents one of the most poignant human sorrows. Yet through a Stoic lens, we can find paths forward that honor both the elderly parents' need for connection and the real constraints facing their adult children. The Stoics taught that family bonds are not just emotional attachments but moral duties. Yet they also recognized that virtue must be practiced within the context of our actual circumstances, not some idealized world. Perhaps the most important Stoic teaching for this situation is the recognition that while we cannot control whether we are visited, called, or remembered as often as we wish, we can control our response to these circumstances. We can choose courage over bitterness, understanding over resentment, and continued love over withdrawal. As we close this exploration of a topic that touches so many families, I want to thank you for staying with us through this difficult but important conversation. At Stoic Directory, we believe that ancient wisdom isn't just academic, it provides practical guidance for our most challenging modern problems. If you found value in today's discussion, please consider becoming part of our community by subscribing to this channel. Your likes, comments, and shares allow us to continue creating content that addresses these profound human experiences with depth and nuance. And perhaps most importantly, if today's video has stirred something in you about your own family relationships, consider it an invitation. Maybe there's a call you could make today, a visit you could schedule, or a conversation you've been avoiding that needs to happen. Sometimes the wisdom we need most is simply the courage to reach out.